Brandon with GoHUNT. We're gonna go over a late season truck camping gear list. The main part of this is gonna be the tent, which we don't have set up here. I just got done with a Nevada deer hunt with Porter, Chris Porter with the company. It's a Kodiak canvas. It's a big canvas tent. So we had cots, again, just camping in a good flat spot. We get a truck too. We had 4-wheelers. So this is kind of the setup that we had in that camp. We're gonna start with the cook system. So we have this little Coleman 2-burner, takes the little green propane bottles. Super quick, easy to set up. You can set it on like a Yeti cooler, or we have a little fold-out table that we set it up we could cook on every night. You can boil water on it in the morning if you want to, have a warm drink in the morning. So with that, just a standard frying pan, standard pot. The meals that we did, you can do burgers, we did pasta and like bratwurst, just pretty much anything you cook at home, you can bring and cook on one of these little stoves. They're pretty handy. With that, it's just a utensil set. I think this one's from Camp Chef. I keep it with my Dutch ovens, throw it in, folds up, nice, convenient to pack. So that's the cook system. One thing that I did throw in for this trip, because you are truck camping, a package of hot hands. We use those, when we're riding 4-wheelers, I'll stuff them inside the gloves. Keep your hands warm, holding on to the handlebars, or when you're glassing, just have them in your gloves or in your pockets. Just something to take the edge off your fingers when it's colder outside. From there, the optics that I had the big Swaro, 80mm Swaro spotting scope. I have a set of 12 ELs in my BINO harness. With those, I do have the Swaro BINO adapter, and I'll just throw that on a Siru tripod. I tend to like I may throw a Manfrotto in the truck, like a big 055 carbon fiber Manfrotto, just so it's tall. I can stand behind the glass. Not really concerned about weight or anything here. So I do throw a couple tripods in usually. That Siru will go on my pack if we're going out to a point to glass or something. But just standing in the truck, I'll use that little bit taller tripod. From there, we'll jump in to the actual BINO harness itself. Marsupial, fully enclosed. This is a size large because I do leave the eye caps, especially if I'm on quads all the time. I'll leave all my eye caps on. I try and take as good a care as I can with my optics. From there, side pocket, I've got a little INREACH, GARMIN INREACH that I just tethered to my phone in case something happens, or if we're not having cell service, I can keep in contact with my family. Leatherman, a little scale tool on that side. In the little side pouch here, I've got a lighter, fire starter. I've got a little Petzl E-light in there just in case my main headlamp dies on me or run out of batteries. I do have extra batteries in the pack, but my main headlight is a Black Diamond Storm. It's older. This is probably 4 or 5 years old. Awesome headlamp. One thing that I really like about this is you can adjust the brightness. So as I'm just hiking, in and out from a point at night or in the morning, I leave it fairly dim, just what I need. But then with just tapping the side of it, I can make it super bright. So if we get to like a little canyon or something, and I just want to verify that I'm not cliffed out, or I want to pick a better route, I just tap the side of that and it lights up real bright. From there, pretty much any time that I'm camping anymore, I throw one of these little Gold Zero crush lights, these little lanterns. Super handy in a wall tent, super handy in the tent that we had out there. Even if we have a big lantern, I'll keep these by my cot and sleeping bag. Just super handy to have. They crush up. They're solar. You can charge them by solar. Super handy there. Another little piece that I've got is the Gold Zero. This is the Flip 20. I think the newer ones are Flip 25s with a little pigtail to charge my iPhone. I do have another pigtail that charges the InReach as well. I just have this in my pack or BINO harness, or just with me, just in case my phone dies. When it's super cold outside, you never know how much battery you're gonna suck. And so having a little external, even though you can charge it in the truck, I always keep that with me as well. From there, we'll get into the pack that I ran. Is the Stone Glacier. That one I believe is the Sky Archer. Easy to compress. I don't run a lid. I run side pouches on it. That's where my headlamp lives, or like a phone scope adapter will live in those little side pouches so I can get to them quick. Inside it, I don't run, during the later seasons when it's really cold, I don't run a water bladder. I'll run water bottles inside, keep them from freezing. You don't have to worry about blowing out your drink tube if you're running a water bladder that way. Just kind of the system that I run. Inside that, I will have just a standard first aid kit. You know, everybody's got a little bit different one. I run just the, you know, some Band-Aids, bandages, ibuprofen, just different things that in case something happens, I can take care of it. I do, in any later season, I will throw a large black contractor garbage bag just in the bottom. They're super handy to have. You can use them for various things, from cutting up meat to sitting on in snow to, you know, something happens to a truck or a four-wheeler, you can lay on them and not get all muddy. Just super handy. Couple things of paracord in there. And that's really about it. I don't go crazy with the day pack. Try and keep it light so you can move and be efficient on it. With that though, and the way that I'll run that is I'll put my spotting scope inside, I'll put the tripod on the outside, and I usually have my BINO, this little BINO adapter, just hooked to the tripod, so it's ready to go. I can sit down, pop that off. I tend to use my binos and tripod a whole lot more anymore than I do the scope. The scope really just comes out to verify, you know, an animal that we're looking at. So onto the clothes. We'll start with the boots and socks. The socks, heavyweight, darn tough socks. I run the heavyweight pretty much all year just for the cushioning in it. The boots that I run are the CHARMOZ, SCARPA CHARMOZ. Even into the later seasons, if it gets super cold out, I'll bring the Mont Blanc Pros that are an insulated boot, but I run these for most of the year. Given that we did have ATVs out on this hunt, I put in the big SITKA mittens. Just like I say, when you're riding four-wheelers in the cold, your hands tend to be the first thing that get cold. So what I would do is just throw hot hands inside there, put my hand in it, and then I would basically got hand warmers as I'm riding a four-wheeler. The other set of gloves are just these little SITKA for work, like around camp. I wore them a lot as hiking in, you know, early mornings, glassing, so I had dexterity a little bit better. Anytime I didn't need a big mitten, I'd be running those. The rain gear that I had, I took CLOUDBURST pants. And like I say, these just get stuffed in the bottom of the pack, so I always have it with me. And then the jacket that I have is kind of a unique rain jacket. Given that we're on four-wheelers, going to be sitting truck camping, not really worried about, you know, weight or anything, and the chance of snow. So anytime you're riding a four-wheeler on snow, this is, and I don't even know if they make it anymore, but it's the SITKA KODIAK, and it's more of a like a trench coat type thing. Like where it's on, this raincoat will go clear to my knee. And what that allows me to do is sit on a four-wheeler, I can scoot that around and it'll shed a lot of the water. And a lot of times I don't have to get into my rain pants. I can get away with just running the SITKA KODIAK. I love it. Kind of a niche product, but for certain circumstances, this is a great piece to have. From there, base layers are the merino. I'm a big merino fan. I like wool, so I run a lightweight merino top. And then on top of it, I'll run, for this last hunt, it wasn't crazy cold, so I would put a core heavyweight hoodie on top of it. And then I am a big vest guy, so I would run the vest. And with the temps that we had, that was kind of what I wore throughout the day. Sometimes I'd shed the vest, but I typically lived in the merino and the heavyweight hoodie. This was just like if we sat down or we're hiking and needed, you know, early morning, needed a little extra layer, I'd throw the vest on. From there, I would throw, and that's a JETSTREAM vest, by the way. I would throw the JETSTREAM jacket on early mornings and late evenings, and that pretty well kept me through the whole hunt. Like I didn't, very rarely needed to pull on the big puffy. This is SITKA's big Windstopper puffy, super warm coat. Only had to use it a couple times when it was snowing, blowing real bad. I'd throw this on as we were glassing just to cut the wind and take the cold off. That way I just wouldn't get chilled at all. So that's the upper body that I would run. And like I say, that puffy would mainly live in my backpack, just in case I needed it when we're out on a glassing point. Never really wore it around camp or around the truck or four-wheelers. I was warm enough with just the JETSTREAM layers, even riding four-wheelers, because you're working enough to keep you warm. On the bottoms, in the mornings, I would run, again, merinos on the bases. I'd pull these off mid-morning, and I didn't really have to use them in the evenings because we were active enough, but that just kept the chill out. And the pants that I ran are the FJALLRAVEN. These are the VIDDA Pro ventilated. So what I could do when we started hiking is I would just, they've got side zip vents on them. So running the base layer, even if I started to heat up, I could dump heat out of the side vents. I really like these. One thing that I did with them, knowing that we were going to get snow and rain for a few of the days early on, is you can wax them like you do any canvas to make them somewhat waterproof. And I only really wax them, so I'll start at the knees, wax them from the clear to the bottom, and then on the back side about mid calf, where your knee starts to articulate and bend, I would wax up to here. And then if you don't want to wax them, you just throw them in a dryer. It'll melt the wax out of them. Just a nylon web belt that I've had for years. But that's the clothing that I had. I really like that setup. I didn't get too hot, didn't get, wasn't ever cold. Allowed me to be pretty versatile. And again, not worried about weight. It's truck camp, so I could take pretty much what I wanted to be comfortable with. From that, the sleep system is somewhat unique and large, I would say. Having camped in wall tents and just winter camping a lot, particularly on a cot. A cot is a lot like a hammock, that it allows air to circulate underneath you. And if you don't have a good base on top of it, you can get cold from the bottom up. Similar to laying on ground through conduction that will pull the heat out of you. So what I do on my sleep system, so I would have a cot down, and I like a big cot, I'm a big guy. I would put a big cot down, and then I would put a thick blanket right on top of the cot, fold it over, doubled. That just fits right inside the cot that I have. And then I would put one sleeping bag down, and these are big 0-degree bags, flannel lined, comfortable, not mummy style. They're square, just a normal, good, big sleeping bag. I would put one of those down, and then I would put another one down, and this is the one I would sleep on. So essentially I had like 4 layers of insulation between the cot and what I'm sleeping in. And throughout this hunt, it didn't really get cold enough that I ever had to even zip up this bag. I would just jump in it, fold it over, and then on top of it, I have a big quilt that I would throw over. And in the mornings, if my head got cold, I could just throw this quilt over the top of my head, and it would keep all of that off. And that kept me warm. I ran this same system on Porter's elk hunt last year in November. Again, in a wall tent, and it got a bit colder then than it did this last hunt we did. Slept just fine. I don't have to sleep in any extra layers. Most nights I would just sleep in like the merino base layers that I had, and I was totally fine down into the low teens, and borderline single digit. So, and again, I could take temperatures well down there if I zip this closed. Or I can put a sleeping bag inside a sleeping bag. Gives me a lot of versatility. Again, when I'm truck camping, so I never feel like I'm ever going to get cold in most circumstances. But that's the setup that we had. We were out there a week. Again, truck camping is a super comfortable way to hunt. If you don't have to backpack, it's an efficient way to hunt multiple areas. We were able to really cover pretty much the entire unit. We did pull camp a couple times to relocate throughout the unit. And being this setup allows you to do that. It's not too cumbersome like a huge wall tent, camp chef, Dutch ovens, all of that, to where you're an entire day of pulling camp. You can pack all this up. I usually have a couple of the plastic totes that I'll just throw a bunch of stuff into the truck and onto the next site. So that's that's my trunk camping gear list. If you have any questions or comments, drop them in the comments below. We'll try and answer them. If you've got any suggestions or some tips that you use while trunk camping, throw those down there as well. We really like, learning from others and getting tips from other people.